this computer. Okay. Hello, everybody. I am Rick DiClemente, and this is Star Self and our program called Astrology Unplugged. Nice to have you with us tonight. And tonight we're going to be talking about a subject that has been delayed for a few weeks, which is the subject of what happens when you don't let energy through you. What happens when you don't respect yourself, when you don't let parts of yourself come through? And I've been trying to have this show for a couple of weeks, and I've been ill on the sidelines. And thanks to the other Rick and the one and only Claudia, she went away, for covering for me and for being available to cover for me when it's that time. Claudia, we need you back here. Let me get everybody ready. Okay. All right. We're going to get into it right away. Um, there she is. Now I'm going to get into some things that are a little bit rocky. Let's say there's just no way around it because it's going to come up. I have been diagnosed with cancer, and of the not the gallbladder, but next to it, the bile duct. We've known about it just for a little while, and that's why I've been on and off the show. We don't know a lot about it yet. We're meeting with the doctors Monday to find out what can be done. So tonight, I don't really want to talk about it much, but I do want to do the show, and I reserve the right to turn the sound off. It's been pretty rugged here. And there is a full moon forming right now at 6 degrees Libra, which is right on my Sun, Jupiter, Eris. And this is all coming about to me because of the Pluto at 1 degree of Aquarius. Anyhow, I could talk about the astrology of it all, but I don't want to. And there's so many things to talk about that we don't even know. I've been told by some doctors that it's manageable, and other things I read weren't so kind. So I just don't know. And all I can say is it's good to have the family back. And let's just go forward from here.
Hey, Rick,
Yeah,
can I say something?
no. Yeah, of course you can.
Well, you just take your time. You just do what you need to do and you take your time tonight and always. And every single person here, you know that we are walking this with you. We are basically holding your hand, and we're just your friends who love you. I just really needed to. I know that you already know that, and you can turn the sound off. And if you need to step away, then you step away. And sorry if I made this worse for you, but the
Yeah,
truth is that we love you. And that's all I had to say about that.
I
You've
would
built something
I
very special.
appreciate it very much. I just want to go and go forward because it seems to be my best. It's always been my best panacea.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in the hospital with open heart surgery, I was doing people's charts in ICU because I had my little computer with me, and I was in the ICU for a week, and After the first night, I had him sneaking in at 3 in the morning. I'd say, "Come on in. What's his birthday? Come on." And I was just doing all these people's charts, and Liza was making fun of me. And I said, "Honey, that's the best way I heal." So it
Mhm.
is an emotional thing, and it's a very deep story. And I want to just get on with the astrology tonight. I'm also going to tell you that my astrology days are coming to an end. Uh, I'm going to keep doing it here and there, and I'm going to do it to help you. But I'm leaning more and more towards the spiritual work. This is happening for a long time. The Holy Spirit's been taking over for me. The way tonight came about as I started to think about how us human beings don't give ourselves a break. We're really mean to ourselves. That's a real big deal. And if you haven't heard Rick preach till now, you're about to hear it because I don't care anymore. I'm just going to let it out how I feel. And you've all got an off button. Anyhow, it has been striking to me the past several months how cruel people are to each other. No, how cruel people are to themselves.
Mm.
There's no other word for it. And I'm going to follow Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, and Saturn tonight. You can follow the others if you'd like to, but I'm not drawn to that yet. What I'm going to talk about is those of you in this room are probably pretty aware of when you've gone through Pluto times, like Pluto conjunct your sun, or Pluto opposite your sun, or Pluto hitting your moon. You're probably all pretty aware of those times because they're unlike any other times. And if you are not aware of those times, then I don't know what to tell you because I've done almost 580 videos. 400, 380 videos, and they're all out there. And I'm just not going to go back to the beginning all the time and explain to you. You're going to have to look and find out where the planets are and where your planets are and do some lining up. Mainly, you're going to be able to sense, you can feel when these planets are on you.
Oh yeah.
Period. Now, I'll do my best to gather myself. When Pluto is on you, this is probably the number one time where your life can really get fouled up. Doesn't have to be. It can be a wonderful time, and it can be a really rotten time too, a very destructive time. The reason for it and the reason for all these is because you're not listening to yourself. And if you follow yourself from first grade, second grade, fifth grade, 12th grade, if you follow your little old self and remember yourself going through all these classes and behaving yourself, the thing that's constantly there is a memory of us all behaving.
I didn't behave.
I'm not here to tell you not to behave. Of course, my voice means nothing anyway. But I'm here to say to you tonight, we need to really start investigating how we got to this mess that we're in now. And the way we got to it is by showing ourselves no respect. Now, it just so happens that this comes out of me around this time with this heavy diagnosis. And that's no coincidence. But when Pluto is on you, you're going to have to take my word for it. And if you can start with that, then you'll find your own answer. When Pluto is on you, there's a very deep, heavy part of you that wants to mean more. I'm not making this up. That wants to be more important. It wants to have more of an important impact upon society. It wants to help people change. It wants to help people get stronger, etc., and etc., etc. But we're all so busy behaving. We're all so busy staying out of trouble while we put ourselves through absolute hell. So there's my buddy Shelby. So if there's anything I want to talk to you about tonight, if anything in common, it's you don't have to go out and be a Hellraiser, a James Dean. You don't have to go out and be Charles Manson and raise out like that. But I think all of us can get a lot better at allowing our inner self more expression. When Pluto's on us, it scares the hell out of us because we don't understand it. And I am telling you the truth after much experience. Pluto is a very good planet. It is very altruistic. It really does have your heart at best interest. It wants you stronger, it wants you better, but it ain't going to sit around and listen to you with excuses. It's not going to do it. It's not going to sit around and listen to you make excuse about this, excuse about that, whining about this, whining about that. It just doesn't want to hear it. Because Pluto is the opposite of it. Pluto is finding your courage. And when you look at the Scorpio people in your life who are ruled by Pluto, you can see what I'm talking about. Scorpio people have a built-in toughness, strength, don't F with me. And where does this come from? It comes from, if there are two signs of the zodiac that are into purity, it is Scorpio and is Virgo. Two
Oh,
different kinds of purity. Pluto's purity is of, I am dedicated to you. I am true to you. I will belong to you. I will be always true. I will never betray you. You could replace the word Scorpio with the word betrayal. Scorpio is all about betrayal and not betraying. That's why you've always heard of if you betray a Scorpio, they're going to cut your throat. That's the image that you get. That's how they feel. When they are betrayed, they want to cut your throat. Now, it's not always that bad, but sometimes it is. That's how important it is to them. That's how hurt they are deeply when it happens. Now, what they don't understand is not everybody's that heavy. Not everybody can do that. A lot of signs can't do that. A lot of signs would like to, they can't do it. Fixed water, fixed water. They're a fixed water sign. I love it. I hate it. I love it. I hate it. When they go shopping, they don't say, look at that thing in the window. I want it. They go, I need that. That's what they do. Of course, they don't need it. What they're saying, what they really need, is to share with you your light and their light together. Scorpio is all about fusing your lights together into one big light. That's what it's really about. Of course, they think it's about, oh, I need that. No, it's not. Okay. Now, so when you're going through a Pluto time, number one, it's very common that it will come to you through a Scorpio person who is there to hurt you, to help you, and maybe do both. It is very, very common. The Scorpio person will come into your life and you could tell the breadcrumbs because they will be helping you get stronger. They'll be helping you get deeper. You'll feel people say things like, well, I didn't know I could feel these kind of things. I didn't know I could have such kind of deep emotions. All they're doing is getting you in touch with the Pluto inside you that you're not used to grooming. So it is. Now, if you want to have trouble when Pluto's around, then start bullshitting yourself. You're going to get slapped upside the face on both sides. You're going to. You don't bullshit this planet. You do not bullshit Pluto. This planet is intense. It is serious. It will go in the foxhole with you. It will dig the hole for you. But when you're in there, you better not F around. I'm being very straightforward with you on how Pluto is. You got its back, it's got your back. Now, Scorpio is a beautiful sign in terms of if they're trying to help you, and maybe they can't, but they're trying. Pluto and Scorpio is very tolerant. All they care about is whether you try. But if you're not trying, then I'm getting the hell out of the way because I don't want to see the results. Because you're going to get your butt kicked. And you might even get killed. That's what Pluto does. Remember, Pluto's here to clean the garbage off the highway so that evolution can continue. There are Scorpios who are ridiculous. There are Scorpios that just go nuts at the batting of an eyelid, think they're being betrayed. They see betrayal everywhere, and that's just because they hate themselves. And the number one thing about Scorpio is they cannot hate themselves, because if they hate themselves, then you better get out of the way, because they're going to hate you too. Period. I don't care what Linda says. Linda can giggle, she can say what she wants. They're going to kick your ass too. You're not going to find a Scorpio that hates himself but loves these people. Well, the Scorpios are really pretty good people, but the Scorpio males have a much harder time than the females because the females are much more dedicated towards true love. But when the Scorpio is enticed towards self-hatred, self-condemnation, seeing themselves as weak or useless, get the hell out. And we're talking about Charles Manson here. We're talking about the Charles Manson type. That's the negative side of a Scorpio. Now, when it's on you, I've written about it, and I've told you so much about it. If you're trying to get better, if you're trying to summon your strength, if you're trying to stand up to people, for instance, when Pluto's on your Mars, when Pluto goes over your Mars or squares your Mars, almost every time, and I don't say these things without evidence, someone will jump in your stuff. If Pluto's squaring your Mars, some Scorpio type person or somebody with a lot of Pluto will get in your face and challenge you about your rent, about money you owe them, about the family, about whatever, and it ain't going to be pretty. And your job, and I know what I'm talking about, your job is to stand your ground with them. If you run, you'll get your butt kicked. But if you stay and stand your ground, your odds go much better at getting through it. And if you get aggressive with them, that's a real mistake. Then you're going to have a really, really nasty fight. And I don't want to be near it. So the object is not to have a nasty fight. The object is to stand your ground because what's being tested is the true value of you. Do you deserve to be here? Do you deserve to be here? A Scorpio statement that's very common is, you don't even deserve to be drawing air. They're very dramatic about this. You shouldn't even be sucking up air, taken from the rest of us. So the real way to deal with it is to realize during Pluto times, you'll probably be reminded a lot of things resurface of times when you had bullying or people were stealing your value or stealing your thunder, and you start to re-own your power. Then you'll have people come out of nowhere and support you. Books come out of nowhere, movies come out of nowhere. You'll start to feel your backbone stiffen, you'll get stronger, and you'll get people on your side. And you must watch very carefully your friends when a Scorpio comes into their life. I'm telling you the tricks of the trade. When a Scorpio comes into their life, it's very possible that that person's there to screw your friend, that person's there to help your friend, or maybe both. Keep your eyes open. Remember, Scorpio is the sign that always says, hey, I just thought I'd stop by. Bullshit. Scorpios never stop by. In England, they say, pop on by. We'll pop on by. Scorpios always have a reason for what they're doing. Now, the more chicken you are, the more afraid you are of your own power, the more you're going to get somebody in their face that ain't very nice. And it can be very threatening. The more that you rise to the occasion, you don't have to be Muhammad Ali, but you rise to it, you defend yourself, you say, yes, I do have value, yes, I do have meaning in my life when I want to become a doctor, when I want to become a lawyer, when I want to have more meaning in my life, then your tuition will come out of nowhere. The books will come out of nowhere. Somebody will support you out of nowhere. That's just how it works. Believe it or not, but the zodiac is trying to make itself stronger. It's very intelligent. It knows what it's doing. Now, I'm going to get off of this subject and ask you if any of you are having any Pluto type instances now. Have you had any recently? Does this ring a bell for you? Do you have any stories related? Go ahead and just raise your hand if you have something to say. Don't be scared. Go ahead, Linda.
Well, I am a Scorpio, and I do remember in my 20s seeing betrayal everywhere.
Yeah,
I remember it really well. I'm also a healer, and I know that I do show up in people's lives or they end up with me for a reason to uncover mysteries. I see the sign of Scorpio as detective. It's like what I do usually is I'm a detective
that's right.
more than anything.
That's right.
I had to live a long time to realize what you just said, that my biggest betrayal has been to myself and not
Has
value
been what?
has been to myself.
Yes,
My betrayal has been to
exactly.
myself.
That's
That I have not,
95% of it's right there.
yeah, I have not valued
Right,
myself. I
right,
didn't get it.
right.
So it took a long, long time
Let
to
me say
understand
one thing
that.
before I forget.
Yeah.
Okay? You're absolutely right. But I'm going to tell you the truth here. There's no sign of the zodiac that can compare to Scorpio when it comes to turning a new leaf. Like you might see them as a ugly duckling or a weakling, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden one day they're pumping weights. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can really turn it around
Well,
because
yeah,
they've got phenomenal willpower.
resourceful.
Fixed water.
Yeah.
Fixed water. Go ahead, Linda.
Well, yeah, what you're saying is true. The Scorpio energy goes to the underworld, is catapulted into the underworld. I don't think I go willingly, but I'm catapulted there. And then somehow other guides show up, people show up. There's a resourcefulness that happens to bring us to the new chapter. That
What
makes
you're talking about is very much akin to Don Juan talking about the allies in his books with Castaneda,
yeah,
having
Castaneda.
allies nearby to help. Um,
Uh-huh.
there are many, many ways to put it clearly. Your heavy, dark nights of the soul will be your Pluto nights.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's every reason in the world that you can let it go. It is going to pass. This planet is not out to kill you. It may seem so on certain nights, but what this planet is really trying to do is to cook your obstacles.
Mhm.
It's trying to cook your seeds that are in your way,
Right.
to cook your weaknesses. And there's nothing more beautiful than a Scorpio person who's breaking through that syndrome of seeing everybody as betraying, seeing themselves as weak, seeing others as useless. There's nothing like seeing ones that break through it because then they come out shining and they just have a beautiful aura about them. Well, thank you, Linda. That was
Thank
very,
you.
very
Thank you.
good. We had a question from Mr. Kempe.
Actually, I was coming up with knowing about an intense Scorpio. It was just getting in line, and I've had in the last 4 or 5 years somebody that was referred to me, and I work with different paranormal teams across Western Pennsylvania, and sometimes I get referrals. Young man thought he was really experiencing a haunting, and he was having paranormal experiences. And after speaking with one of the Pittsburgh based paranormal investigators, he was told, "You don't need an investigation or a team. You need to talk to Rick."
That
He was,
Rick?
he,
You, Rick?
yeah, me.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And he did not understand that he was going through a spiritual transformation. And I pinpointed a particular part of his chart in time. I can't remember what year it was. And I said, "So what went on there?" And he's a Scorpio, and he did have all kinds of spirit in this house. And then for the year that I picked, that was the year he first moved into a haunted house. So it's all about him coming into his own
Right.
as a medium.
That's right.
He's not quite there. He just had to have it opened up to him so that he would know that's part of his path. He's not going through development. He's not actively
You'll get
pursuing
there.
it, but
And that's why the United States, going through its Pluto return, Pluto is now back where it was in 1776, 256 years later. That's why the United States is going through what it's going through, because we've not been taught to have any balls. We've not been taught to have courage. We've not been taught about inner integrity. We've had a lot of lessons that we kind of skipped over, and we're starting to pick these up side by side, and it's a good thing. Well, see now Rick sees another example of somebody who he has a lot of different energies in his chart. He has a lot of Leo, he has a lot of Gemini, he also has a lot of Pluto and Scorpio there. So this is not always your sun sign. This can be your Pluto placements, this can be your planets in Scorpio, planets in your 8th house, etc. Okay, I want to move on now because we're gonna need to get in through some other topics. As we say jello to Jane, and I think Deborah slipped by too. Okay. We're going to now talk about Neptune. What I want to say to you about Neptune, where it really applies to these other energies, we don't know about these energies. We're busy with cartoons and 4s and 5s and stoplights and government's Magna Cartas, and we're busy with all these different things that have different kinds of value, but we're not taught about personal power. What do they do with the little Indian children? These little braves, they're called braves. They're taught about their personal power, about their personal integrity. That's all we're talking about. Nothing magical here. Neptune is probably the worst of all in terms of it's there, we don't even know it's there. That's why when it hits us, we don't know what the hell just happened. And we just spent 4 weeks on Neptune. Neptune is the part of you that's the God part. It's the part of you that wants to reach out, and you're listening to Whiter Shade of Pale, or you're listening to something blissful music, and you're transcending yourself, and you're even, oh, you don't even know what it is. In my house, with my mother was an opera singer, and when the opera was on, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. Because the opera was playing, nobody could talk. Oh, she'd be going, oh, 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 oh. That's just her way of being over Neptunized. But Neptune is that part of you that draws you to the brotherhood, that draws you to sainthood, that draws you to work with the church, that draws you to work with the underdeveloped nations. It's the part of you that is attracted and is one with everybody else. It's no talk. There's a part of you that is fused with everybody. Always. You hear all these different preachers talk about this and that, but that's really what it is. You hear Jesus refer to it in so many different ways. That's really what it is. When he says to you, I and my Father are one. That's not a magic trick. He's telling you how it is. And it's a hard thing to understand because we turn it into, did you do what you're supposed to do? Did you do what your religion says? Well, my religion has a rule against that. Well, my religion believes that. It's got nothing to do with Neptune. Neptune is about moving the Rick aside, moving the Claudia aside, and seeing the godliness that's already there. That's all it is. That's all it is. But when it's on you, it's a confusing time. It's a hard to understand time. And it can be very disconcerting. It can drive many people to the bottle. Lots of people to the bottle. It drives a lot of people to affairs. That's the biggest thing it does. Affairs and drinking. The biggest thing that it does in terms of turning you awry. But what Neptune's trying to get you to do is trying to get you, you're going to be dissatisfied. That's the core of it. But it's trying to get you dissatisfied with the world and attracted to the God part of you. It's that simple. It's not trying to get you away from the world and get you into crime or to get you into the bottle. It's trying to show you that worldly things are not going to satisfy you. And that your God part is inside your God, your Jesus that you're talking to, whatever is inside you. That's the Neptune part. Tough planet to get a hold of. Now, There is a really good book out. It's called Neptune. It's by Liz Green, British, Liz Green with 3 E's. Liz Green wrote a magnificent book, big thick book on Neptune. You may want to look at that. It may be a little bit too much for you as a beginner, but you may want to just pick it up and keep it in your library through the years and take a good look at it because she sees the whole planet in terms of redemption. Now, this next planet is probably the one I spend the most time with, Uranus. It's not because I'm born with the sun opposite Uranus. It's not any of those reasons. It's because this planet raises hell. This planet causes all kind of inner jerking around craziness. And this is the planet where you get people telling you, oh, you better calm down. When your Uranus is strong, people are going to tell you, oh, calm down. Oh, settle down. Oh, get together. Oh, shh. Because the Uranus part of you is kind of crazy. But it's not crazy, crazy. It just wants you to be you. It wants Marcia to get out there and shine. It wants Jane to get out there and shine and show people the real Jane. That's what Uranus is. And when it's on you, we've talked a lot about it. It's on you in 21s. It hits you real strong at 21, at age 42, at age 63. Hits you in 7s also. This is the planet that's tired of being smothered. That's simple. It doesn't want to be smothered. It wants out. Now, truism. The more you have shoved it down, the more the explosion is going to be. If you've been pretty good at letting it out in little bits and streams here and there, you're not going to have much trouble with it. But if you've been really rigid, not letting it out and stuff, you're going to have a lot of trouble because you're going to have explosivity all around you. I was going through a Uranian moment when I first met Liza, and Liza and I were walking down the street, and of course she's Uranian because Uranus rules Aquarius, and we were going down the street, and there was a telephone pole, and I looked up at the pole, and the transformer on top of the pole exploded. And I know it happened because I was looking at it. No doubt in my mind. Luckily, nobody got hurt. There were wires hanging down from it with flames coming out of it. And that was during a period when I was trying to get the real me out. And I was having trouble, but at least I was trying. You'll see all kind of things like this. This is the teenager who gets sassy with the parents, the teenager that wants to drink and wants to go play and have fun and be themselves, get their own apartment. It's the wanting to spread your wings. So if you do it in a healthy fashion, Uranus is you want to try this, you want to try that, the opportunities come to you. It almost always comes to you as more elbow room, more freedom to try this and try that. If you have been repressive, then look out, this planet is dangerous. Dangerous. Car wrecks, machinery, gunshots. Again, it comes down to what are you going to say to the little Rick when the little Rick keeps asking the big Rick, can I go to the playground and have some ice cream? It's that simple. The little Rick wants to go to the playground and get some ice cream. And it doesn't understand. No. Well, why can't I? Well, if the governing Rick at the top, the adult, is saying no because you're a pain in the butt, or you spend too much money, or you're a bad kid. If they're all bad reasons, then you screw that little kid up. If you're healthy, you say, well, sure, we got the money. The street's clear. Let's go to the playground. And the kid goes, and he's happy. Normal expression of Uranus. When Uranus hits people, they come back and they report to me what? Either absolute chaos, I was beside myself, or the most fun I ever had. That's how they express it. I was beside myself. I was pulling my hair out, or, oh, we had just had a great time. The problem with Uranus is we have been taught, and some of the BS that we've been taught, that if we let ourselves out, we're letting some monster out of the bag who's going to raise hell like Godzilla. You would not believe my vision of this group or other groups when I work with you guys. There are so many people sitting on their hands, afraid to death to express themselves, to say something, when it's okay. Because the ones I see that want to express themselves, they don't want to do anything crazy. They just want to express themselves. Well, we have been taught so much to behave ourselves. I told you about my little boy in grade school, and he'd come home and I'd say, what'd you do today? I don't know whether he was 6, 7, 8 years old. Said I sat on my tape. What do you mean you sat on your tape? I have a piece of tape on the floor in a cross, and I'm supposed to sit there. So I sit there. What do you do with that child when he goes forward in life and there's no piece of tape on the sidewalk? What do you do when he goes to the business office and there are pieces of tape all around and everybody's sitting on their tape? This is a big deal. This is the biggest deal in the zodiac. Uranus is the Robin Williams inside of you. It's the curly of the Three Stooges. It's it's the clown part of you that's kind of crazy and fun, but it's a part of you wants to be yourself. It wants to be free. It's the Jim Carrey part of you. It's the Jim Carrey part of you. What would it be like in your class if you suppressed all the Jim Carreys in your class? Well, be a lot quieter, a lot more behaved, and a lot more preparation age. It's just going to be. You're not expressing yourself. Well, the whole point of expressing yourself, as I've always said, you do not have the right to repress God when God wants to speak through you. You do not, and this is me making that up because who knows what rights you have. You do not have the right to suppress God or goddess when she wants to express herself through you. And you see people that get up on stage and they got it and they're dancing and all, and it's all just happening and they're in tune with everything and everything's magical. And, the audience is sitting back and just Cirque du Soleil. The audience is sitting back with their mind blown because they're seeing these people express themselves and get it fine tuned. The beauty of it. That's Uranus. That's why Uranus is so dangerous. Do you think the Soviets are dangerous or not? They're a dangerous country. They're a very dangerous country because they've been sat on for so long. It's scorpionic, very. The Middle East, very Uranian. What do you think these Uranian types are like when they let go? Why do you think they can't stand the West? Because the West has the lid off. We're crazy with it. We've got pet rocks and we're doing all kind of crazy stuff, right? But at least we're out there talking. We want to go to America and be free. That's what they're talking about. So, to rewind this a little bit, let's follow the subject of tonight. Look at the times in your life when Uranus was on you or when these instincts were on you and you did not let them through. What happened to you in your life when your body's just saying, come on, let's go to Kansas. Come on, let's go to the California oceans. Come on, let's take that trip across country. Oh no, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I could. And you just push it down. What happened to you in your life when you didn't let it out? Come on. I'm not doing all the work.
I felt like I had like a big apple in my
You're darn
throat
right. You're
for
darn
years.
right. You're darn right. You're
Yeah, I
darn
couldn't.
right. And what is that apple? Life.
It's me.
It's just life. Life
Yeah.
wants out. You want to shout. You want to scream. You want to sing woolly bully.
Mm-hmm.
Dance around a fire. And what happens to you when you come over and sit on it?
Oh God, it's just such a relief. It's just you mean sit on the apple? What do you
Now,
mean?
what happens when you come in? We press it back down.
Oh, it's awful. It's
It
just
is awful. And do you think it's not responsible for strokes and aneurysms? It is the number one problem in astrology is repressing Uranus energy. Go look at any of your friends, heart attacks, aneurysm. Go look at where their Uranus was. Go look.
Yeah.
You'll see it. And it's that we go to such degree with it, Claudia, sitting on it versus letting it out. Well, how about letting it out a little bit? That's kind of a good choice. Just let's let it out a little bit. Let's go dancing once a week. Let's go out a little bit, let it out a little, play a little music. It's coming out a little more and more and more. Then it's not so explosive.
Okay.
Come on, Rick. What do you got to say?
Uranus is really a big deal.
It's a real big deal.
It
Yes,
is
it is.
all about,
Yes.
I mean, what makes it want to explode is it's the identity.
Yes.
It's trying to awaken the
Yeah.
identity.
Yes. Yes.
And people don't realize all the time who they are. They
Yes.
need those experiences to say, I didn't realize how important this was to me.
That's exactly right.
And that's why it makes them so passionate.
Exactly right. And that's when Fred Rogers, who is the least radical of all, but actually he's really radical, he says to you what? There's nobody like you.
You,
That's what he's saying.
yes.
That's a radical statement. Whole universe, nobody like you. And those kids are hearing that. Oh, mom, look how I dance. Dad, look how I dance. And, the kids get up in the living room and do the goofiest, silliest things. But you look at the people with the strong Uranuses. Look at their body language. Jerry Lewis, Curly, the guy I just mentioned,
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey. Their hands are over here doing stuff and they're watching over here. What? It's like they're dissociative. That's what Uranus is. It's just so explosive and unpredictable. remember when Jerry Lewis would be talking to you somewhere and his leg would start going out there dancing? His leg would go off by itself dancing. Get back here. You know, that's very, very Uranian. Well, what I want to talk to you about is what did you do in your life? What happened in your life when Uranus had you in a relationship and your relationship said, this thing is stultifying. This relationship has me stuffed and I want out, but no, I'm not going to listen to it. What happened? Come on, Marcia. I was there, sweetheart. What happens when you don't let it out? And you're a very Uranian woman, and you do let it out. You are muted, dear.
I have had the good fortune of being able to let a lot of things out and jump into life
That's
many,
right.
many
Very
times.
good.
But the times that I haven't, it's a
Right.
very stifling sensation,
Oh,
anxiety producing,
oh,
not being able to breathe,
yes.
that's a big thing. And
Almost everybody will say to you this. They'll say right here, I can't
Mhm.
breathe. I
Yes,
don't know
very much so.
why, what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was with you through several of those periods, and I watched you go through some minor stuff, but mostly you let it out and you got on with it. And it was really good, and it was good for you.
Yeah.
But look around you. Look around you at people that have their rules that you can't get out. You gotta behave. Jane, the hell are you doing? Jane, behave. Don't say this stuff in front of these people. What happens, Jane?
Honestly, that's my childhood. That really conservative Christian,
Right?
you just can't be who you are. In fact, you
That's
can't even
called
find,
bullshit, is what that's called.
yeah, and you can't even
Jane,
find
what
out.
happens when the real you comes out?
Oh,
The
it's
one that
it's
the one that we get to enjoy.
oh, you darlings.
She's
It's just
happy.
I'm blossoming now because
That's right.
I'm coming into retirement, and there's all this interesting stuff where I get this sense that people are saying to me, so what are you going to do now? And I said, I actually now I'm able to just say, I'm going to do something creative. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to do. And they go, oh, aren't you just going to try and get work? I said, no, I'm going to try and live off, the pension, and
Now
I'm going to just
one reason
create.
I will insert here. One reason that you say I don't know, we say I don't know, is it's been repressed for so long that it needs to come
Yes,
out for a while. Let me ride this
yes,
Bronco for a little bit. Then I'll tell you where we could possibly ride. Sometimes it's too hard to pick, well, we're going to get up and ride and go there. First of all, you
yes,
get it out and then go.
yes.
And boy, if you don't let it out, the
I know,
chances
and
of the chances of that horse stomping you are very
yeah.
great.
And I can see that with when we were talking about anxiety and things like that, that shows up. And most of my working life has been in roles where it just wasn't creative. I wasn't able to be, me. I'm a local government councillor at the moment, and it's going to finish soon, which is good. But weirdly enough, it's the first time I've been in a role where, no one's really my boss. Rules are my boss, as in I can't swear like a trooper or whatever in a council meeting, but I'm allowed to actually go, this is what I think. And that's taken me a long time in this 3.5 year journey to get to a point where I'm not afraid to do that.
Now
I'm not afraid to
let
go,
me tell you something that fits right in here. We think, we think that once we get out there, then the world will adjust. That's not how it is. Once you release yourself inside, the world automatically adjusts. It just does. I would like to take a second here, Jane, and hear from this squirming Susan here, because I think Susan has some very powerful Uranus in her chart. What does this ring a bell with you, dear?
Honestly, I don't know. I was looking up some, key incidents in my life, and Uranus wasn't anywhere in particular. Pluto was when I
Okay,
got.
we're talking Uranus.
So I really don't know. I would expect it to have been somewhere a couple of times with a marriage, a divorce, but
Yeah, well, you go
didn't.
back and look because it's there.
Yeah,
It's. How about Linda Jordan?
Well,
You
what I
cannot
will
sleep through my class. No.
must say, what I will say, I was actually like, I just pulled my chart up because I wanted to sort of look at the transits right now. And because there's a lot of things going on right now. And although I wouldn't say they're bothersome, my, I think of him as my ex-husband, but we've been separated for like 13 years. And he finally decided to file for divorce, and he's so old. I mean, he's going to be divorced for 5 minutes and then he'll probably, pass on. It's ridiculous. But it's interesting to me because Uranus is square my Pluto right now, transiting Uranus.
A big
And
deal.
it's just blowing it's like that thing like lasted too long. It needed to be gone. And I'm feeling so it's just it's hard because he won't do any work. So there's things he has to do to get this. He wants this, but he won't do any work.
Time out, time out, time out, again and again and again. There is no him out there. There is no him. Let's turn this around via what's her face? What's her
I
name?
mean the guy
Wait a minute,
that
wait a
is
minute.
filing papers
Who's the
is out
woman,
there.
Claudia? Who's the woman you saw last week? Byron Katie.
Byron
There
Katie.
is no him out there. Okay. Now, instead of saying I would be okay if he would get moving, let's turn that around like Byron Katie does with her the work. Turn it around and say, I would be okay once I let go and let it happen.
Oh, that's what I'm doing. I mean,
Okay. Well,
everybody's
wait a
pushing
minute.
me, and I just go,
When you hear this, you'll hear the real answer. The real answer is you've got the lid still down. Now go forward.
well, I don't feel like I have any lid down at all. I'm just,
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
just, I'm just, I'm
Okay,
just.
you're telling me the lid ain't down, that he's got the lid down over there.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
That's
I
what
don't know
you're
that he has,
saying.
I don't know that he has, I don't know anything about him. I mean, because there's like layers of lawyers in between, but
There are no layers of lawyers in between. There's nothing out there but you. Nothing. It's all you. You got the lid down to the level that you're comfortable with right now. That's how it works. 1 second, Susan. Give that some thought, Linda. We'll come back to you. Go ahead, Susan.
I looked up one more incident, and this was in 2004 when my mother went off the rails. She took herself out of an independent living facility. She had progressing dementia, and she snuck halfway across the country, and she managed to get herself from Ohio to California to an apartment. I mean, it was a crazy, crazy time.
Okay, well, what did that mean to you?
It was, she had been a controlling factor in my life, my entire life. She was now gone. Everything got
What I'm trying to say to both of you, there is no mother. It all took place here.
well, it was a triple whammy with all three of these planets.
It seemed like it.
So Uranus was crossing over my Mars in the first house.
Symbolic of releasing your Mars.
Neptune was crossing over my ascendant, and Pluto was crossing over on top of my sun.
Well, that's certainly huge, yeah.
It
What I'm
pretty big.
I'm trying to tell everybody, including myself here, there is no outer world. None of this is happening outside. It's all happening inside. And just keep looking at it if you don't believe it. Just keep looking at it and watching it neutrally. Okay, let's get to the last planet. So you can see how Uranus is so huge because, as Rick was saying, the Uranus is letting that wild man out of you, but it's not even letting the wild man out. It's letting out you, the real you. That's the thing about Uranus. Aquarian people, if you ever get involved in a creative project with them, they absolutely insist on doing it their way. This is not selfish. They insist on it. It's got to be their way because it's unique when it's theirs. And it's a
It
big
actually goes to the point that it wakes you up to something you don't even know about yourself.
exactly.
And
Which
it's that
exactly
revelation that is so exciting,
that's exactly right.
consuming, explosive. That's
And
why I tell a lot of people who have Uranus issues to tap into their creative outlets more.
that's exactly right. And Uranus doesn't even know until it hits. It doesn't even know what it's going to do.
Right.
It's going to. And it makes it, therefore, a harder to understand planet. The other planet beside that is Saturn. And Saturn's really hard to talk about because we're all really good doing with what our Saturn tells us. We're real good about putting our butt on that tape. Don't get in any trouble. Put that butt on that tape and don't move. Don't hold your mouth back anymore, Claudia. What are you going to say?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
pretty much. If it's
That's what we
Saturn,
do.
yeah, yeah, but we do, and some of us do it, more openly, not openly, with more
Freedom.
freedom to do it and more awareness. But sometimes some of us have to get like really.
That's right. You have to break here in case of fire.
Mm-hmm,
Hey,
mm-hmm.
is there anybody in this room that you would be afraid if they broke their, like that little piece of glass, break here with a little hammer, break here in case of a fire? Is there anybody in this room that you would be afraid to hear from if they broke their outer lid? No. They're all normal, fun people. Right?
Everybody here is, yes.
Not everybody in the world, but yeah, but most of the people here, you're gonna hear some good old stories coming out. What
Yeah.
happens to you, Renate, when you got to a point in your life you just started saying hell with it and started letting yourself out?
Well, actually, it was with 42, with the Uranus opposition.
That's
I
right.
kicked my partner out because he was having affairs. He was Scorpio, of course. And I came to astrology and esoteric. My spiritual path began. Always 52. That was a bigger thing. Was 21, I went to the United States. And yeah,
Well, when you were 42, that's Uranus.
that was a big breakthrough.
Well, that's Uranus opposite itself.
Yeah.
That's the midlife crisis where you decide, am I being myself? Am I letting somebody else sit down on me, repress me? And you said, yeah. So you got him out. And look what happened.
Actually, I never let anybody sit on me very much.
Good for you.
Therefore, people didn't like me sometimes, or they were even afraid of me because I was saying what I meant.
Well, that's exactly what we missed so far. And that's exactly what needs to be talked about now. Why do we do these things? We do these things so we'll be accepted. We do these things so we won't be rejected. We will do these things so we won't be labeled as weird. We do these things so that we'll get chosen in the future. We won't get bypassed. Ask people why they sit on their tape. I don't want to sit on my tape. I want to get up. I want to squirm around a little bit. Okay, we've not heard from Kathy. What do you think, Kathy?
Well, I'm not as familiar with my chart as many of the other people on this call, but just thinking back in my life about times when I busted out without realizing that's what it was
Uh-huh.
when my marriage ended. Another time in a particular job that I had, I was given a very creative opportunity and I took it. So I figured that would be something that was probably breaking out into my creative side. And then another time, but I experienced the opposite in the job that I had here when I moved back to Oklahoma, where I walked in and I was really excited about something. I don't remember what it was. And I realized my boss was in the office and I clamped down immediately. And so hearing everybody talk about that brings up some of these things that have occurred in my life.
Well, in your childhood, what did you get when you behaved?
Well, I was okay. I was not praised necessarily, but I was okay.
What does that
I
mean? Does that mean
well,
you were safe?
yeah, I mean I was safe and everybody was happy and you
You
know I
you
was
didn't
okay.
you did not stir up the waters,
I did not.
right? That's what happens with us. We're all about worried about stirring up the waters. It's
Yep.
been my experience when you stir up the waters, pretty soon the waters calm back down.
Yes.
Okay, well, take yourself and project yourself across this country now,
Mm.
and look at the people that we have, and look at the leaders that we don't have, and look at the religious leaders that we don't have, and look at the idiots that are trying to run the country politically. They don't know what they're talking about. We don't have any leadership. We don't have a lot of people that are able to express themselves. And if you look at Obama as an example, you can't get in front of this country and dance. He used to get up and dance with his wife. Oh my God, was the end of the world. He's dancing. So there's your story. We need to allow each other the freedom. And the more I allow myself freedom, the more I'm going to let you have freedom. And boy, when you don't allow it, what happens? I think your kitty cat wants in. Maybe I'm hearing things. Okay, now we've covered Saturn. Now, I would like to hear from anybody that's got something to say about these 4 planets that we talked about. We talked about keeping things balled up inside versus letting things go. Do you see a clear-cut pattern in your life of when you sat on it versus when you let it go? Don't sit on your tape. I'm removing all the tape.
I think what happens is, go ahead, Marcia. Oh,
You
you're
have
on mute.
I wanted to say, what the hell did you say to that teacher that made him sit on that tape? Do you remember?
me?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. You said sit there. So I did.
I mean, damn. Right?
I would imagine she had a nice little orderly room, right?
Did they all have to sit on tape?
Oh, yeah, oh,
They
glad.
all had to sit on tape.
They
Okay.
all did.
Damn.
Ain't that horrible?
That's awful.
Sure. They all got little brown X's on their bottoms.
Go ahead, Claudia.
Well, I was thinking about all these transits and what happens when you do let yourself be yourself, which is the planets are helping you be your real self. But I think a lot of us take on these roles and personalities like, oh, I'm not going to say that because mom's going to get upset, in order to keep ourselves safe, right? Or to keep ourselves okay. And then as we get older, hopefully as we get older, you realize I'm not in that situation anymore. I don't have to, I'm my own person and I don't have to live by Aunt Susan's rules and whoever. At least it's been my experience. And I just always try to convey that to people. The planets are here to help you. They're helping you. And there's so much energy and force. I mean, for somebody to have a Pluto transit and all of a sudden say, well, I'm fed up. I'm not dealing with this anymore. And, I want a divorce, whatever. Think of that. It's like this thing, like you always tell us, right? It's this thing that's come over you and you can't help it. But it's helping you. It's going to be messy. It's not going to be easy, but it's helping you.
Thank God it's happening to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank God it's happening because you really, in your heart of hearts, that it's not okay. Whatever the situation is. But I think that I'm learning that as I get older. It was really recent, probably starting 2019. I was dating a very, very Geminian person. And I kept thinking about his chart and I was like, my God, he's got all this Gemini, all this Gemini. What's going on? I did see that Pluto was opposing my Venus
Oh,
and my
yeah.
Saturn. But here's the thing. This person and I had a big relationship, but he had Pluto right on the ascendant. He was very scorpionic. Very, even though he had all this, he was a Gemini, he had a moon in Gemini, he's got Saturn in Gemini, all this stuff. But I kept thinking at the time, now I understand it, he was very, very much like that energy that was coming to me that I needed to learn from, that I hadn't really allowed myself to really truly have this sense of true power that I had
And
denied myself.
sometimes with that, you need to do what I told you before, which is to take the flip side of what Arroyo teaches us and turn that Pluto person into an anti-Pluto.
Mm-hmm.
That anti-Pluto people they don't know how to deal with power. They won't deal with power. They're scared of power. They're scared of their own power.
Yeah.
It's one of the really good things Arroyo
Yeah, it's
teaches
really,
how to
yeah.
reverse it.
Yeah.
And one thing you see in my position is you'll see one in a couple, you'll see one person in the couple that's ready to go free,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the other one that's scared to death.
Yeah.
The one that's scared to death has got nothing to do with the other one. They're worried about their own skin. And that should not be a reason that person A represses themselves. It just shouldn't be. So we have a lot of work to do. We collectively have a lot of work to do. So I think I'm going to take it. I'm going to bring the evening to a close. It's been a long day, and it's been a good discussion. I think you got the brunt of it. I would encourage you during the next week to give some thoughts to big turning points in your life about whether you listened to yourself or you didn't. I think it's very educational. And next week, who knows what's going to happen? I'll be here, or else Claudia and Rick will be. So, everybody,
You have to look at them?
I'm here.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Yeah,
Rick.
thanks, Rick. Bless
everybody,
you.
thank you.
Many blessings, everyone.
Yeah. Bless you, Linda. I hope.
I'll see you in a second.
See you, Rick. Thanks, everyone. See you, Claudia.
Bye,
Bye,
Jane. Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Take care, all.
Gorgeouses.
Bye.
Bye.